As anyone who's looked at the beautiful Delaware flag knows, and it flies in our offices and in the hallways here, it has a date emblazoned on the bottom, December 7th, 1787, and that's known as Delaware Day. That's the day when Delaware became the first state to ratify the U.S. Constitution. And so to celebrate Delaware Day, we do some things together, don't we, Senator Carper?
One of the things we're going to do is a great idea from a brand new senator from Delaware. About a year ago, we have Taste of Delaware Day, and we're going to go from here later this afternoon, and just not something paid for by the federal government, but sponsored by our Delaware State Chamber of Commerce, as I recall, and others of its members, just to really be able to show off some of the finer things of our state. And some of them are pretty tasty, as it turns out. And we're looking forward to a lot of people coming by and enjoying that.
We are looking forward to doing that in just a few minutes, actually. We've got Dogfish Head Beer, and we've got Grotto's Pizza, we've got Capriati Subs, we've got dozens of restaurateurs and brewers and wineries from across Delaware in age-appropriate settings who will make available some of the finest of what Delaware has to offer. And it's my hope that members of staff, our colleagues, will join in a celebration of Delaware Day. And one of the questions the folks who are listening might have is, what is Delaware that you're celebrating? It is, in my experience, and I believe yours, a state that is not just the first state because of a wonderful accident of history that we were the first state to have the vision and the courage to sign the Constitution to ratify it, but it's also a state that has a nearly unique culture, a culture of respect, of innovation, of education, and of civility. It's a place that has a special, even a unique political culture, one that is at times the polar opposite of what I've seen here, forgive me, Madam President, in the last 2 years. Delaware, much like New Hampshire, feels and seems like a small town that's, through the magic of federalism and the Connecticut Compromise and the Continental Congress, a state with 2 senators. And one of the things that I'm proudest of about our state, Senator Carper knows this well, is a tradition that just celebrated its 200th anniversary. It is the epitome of what we call the Delaware Way. It's a tradition that happens 2 days after every election. It's called Return Day, and it happens in Georgetown, which is the county seat of our southernmost county, Sussex County. And what happens 2 days after the election, there's a lot of different pieces to it, but the first thing that happens is we all gather out at the Marvel Nutter Farm, and 2 by 2, ARC rules, right? The candidates who ran against each other in the general election get into horse-drawn carriages and ride slowly down the main streets of Georgetown, where crowds of thousands come out to see the candidates who just days before were engaged in vigorous political combat, being polite, being friendly, and waving to the crowds. What happens after that, Senator Carper?
We have this beautiful center of the town of Georgetown, all these beautiful old brick buildings, courthouses, and others. And as we gather there in the circle of Georgetown, the big, you may have said that, I just missed it, but the town crier comes out on the balcony of the courthouse, and he has on his top hat and his tails, and he literally announces the results of the election 2 days earlier. This is Thursday after the election, and he calls out the results from the election 2 days earlier, just for Sussex County, Delaware. We're about 1/6 of our state's population there. And he calls off the results, everything from president, vice president, all the way down to clerk of the peace or sheriff. And when he finishes, we have a couple of short speeches on from the platform there in front of thousands of people, maybe a patriotic song or two. And then the leaders of our parties, Democrat, Republican, maybe Libertarian chairman, and they take a hatchet, and a pretty big hatchet, and they grab it, each of them hold on, and they put it down in a glass aquarium that's full of sand, half full of sand. And then someone brings in some buckets of sand from maybe Rehoboth Beach or Dewey Beach, and they cover up the hatchet, literally bury the hatchet. I have some of our colleagues from New Jersey said, now, if we had a ceremony like that in our state, and we buried the hatchet, it probably wouldn't be in the sand. It would be in some other anatomy of some of our opponents' body. But we do it in the sand, and have maybe a benediction, and we go off and eat the oxen roast, and people open up their homes for receptions. And as the day carries on and the sun sets in the west, travails and the passions from the election begin to dissipate, and people just start to think and refocus on not how do we beat our opponents' brains out, but how do we actually figure out how to work together and govern our state. It's a wonderful, wonderful tradition. Senator Coons and I have talked about this before. I think we think we could use a return day for our country, and it certainly works in our state and has a very, very civilizing effect on the tenor of our campaigns.
Whether it's the reception in the morning, the long carriage ride through the middle of Georgetown, the speeches on the podium, the announcement of the results, the literally burying of the hatchet, or the receptions that go on all afternoon and into the night. The experience of Return Day for me, and I believe for my colleague Senator Carper, has been one of reconciliation, one of moving past the election and then forward towards the challenge of making decisions together for the people we represent. Everybody shows up, the winners and the losers. It's only the sorest of losers who don't show up, and it's only the most arrogant of winners who don't show up. So frankly, it's almost always everybody. And the elections I've been blessed to stand in and be successful in for the people of Delaware, Return Day is a great end to the campaign season and beginning of our season of service to the people of Delaware. And as we go from the floor now to the reception in honor of Delaware Day, I just want to say how grateful I am to serve with my senior senator, who has always been personally a model of the civility, of the graciousness, and of the service that marks the Delaware way and that marks Delaware Day, which we celebrate officially tomorrow, but which we kick off tonight with a reception.
Yeah, and I would add to that, this is a commitment to civility that Senator Coons and I share, and it's also one that our Congressman, John Carney, certainly warmly embraces, and before him, Mike Castle. And if you think of all of those, the Castle with a C, Carney with a C, Coons with a C, Carper with a C. People say, what is this with the letter C in the state of Delaware? And if I could, before we close here, I just want to kind of roll back in time about the economy of our state. And people say, what do y'all do there? Like, how do you provide for your living, your income? And we'll say with the economy of our state is pretty much founded on the letter C, and that it includes, well, let's see, it would include corn. Start off by growing corn. Chickens, we grow a whole lot of chickens there. For every person in Delaware, there are 300 chickens, so there's a lot of chickens. Anybody listening in is thinking about what to have for dinner, chicken would be good. We have chemicals, and DuPont Company, poor, impoverished French family came to Delaware over 200 years ago and established what I call the DuPont Country Club. They didn't have many members. They figured we need to make some people have jobs so they can join the DuPont Country Club. So they started this chemical company, a powder company, and now they have quite a successful science company in our state for over 200 years. We have cars. We built a lot of cars over the years, GM and Chrysler products. We're the home of incorporation of over half the New York Stock Exchange, half the Fortune 500. Big credit card business in our state. The coast of our state is the site of the nation's summer capital, Rehoboth Beach, and a bunch of other places. But the letter C has been pretty big. And people say, well, why do they call you the first state? Well, we're actually the first colony that threw off the yoke of the British tyranny in June 15, 1776, and at the same time said to Pennsylvania, take a hike. We want to be a state on our own. And then 225 years from tomorrow, to be exact, we're the first state to ratify the Constitution. But we have the best beaches in the country. Last year, I think there were 4 5-star beaches in America. 2 of them are in Delaware, Rehoboth and Dewey Beach. We have the best Air Force base, we think, in the world. I believe we're first in PhDs per capita. We have, I think, the finest judiciary, acknowledged year after year after year as the finest judiciary, finest judicial system in the state. We have the best financial controls and cash management system. We have had AAA credit rating for, gosh, since what this guy's name was governor, Carper or something. We had, and we continue to have that kind of credit rating. But we're proud of being first. In our state motto, what is it? It's good to be first. And we attempt to be first in a whole lot of ways. There's some things you don't want to be first in, and we like to be last in those, but we're proud of the things that we are first in. And first in civility, and it all goes back, as Senator Coons has said, it all goes back really to Return Day. Because when you announce your candidacy for election, whether it's for the U.S. Senate or whether it's sheriff, you know that at the end of the campaign, 2 days after the campaign, you're going to be in Georgetown, Delaware. You're going to be in a horse-drawn carriage, or maybe an antique car, with the man or woman that you're running against. Their family, your family, surrounded by friends and supporters and just thousands of other people. And I think it really has a very tempering effect on the nature of our campaigns, a wonderful effect. And that's just one of many things that we're proud of in our state. And this is a state, we're lucky to be the senators from the state, but this is a state that works. This is a state that focuses on results. This is a state where we govern from the middle, whether the governor is DuPont or Castle or Carper or Markell, and with the senator is, Roth or Coons or Biden or Kaufman. We're a state that governs from the middle, where Democrats and Republicans actually like each other, and we just want to get things done and do what's right for our state. And with that in mind, we hope some of our friends and neighbors can join us later today in the Russell building up on the 3rd floor, and we'll make a toast to Delaware and enjoy some sarsaparilla and some other goodies as well. It's a great joy to serve with my friend.
Thank you very much, Senator Carper. And with that, Madam President, I yield the floor.